Yo, 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 what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Gloss Garage podcast. I'm your host, Sock. And yep, here in my garage. I don't really do podcasts as often, but for this week, I'm going to be doing one as well. So shout out to Humberto for coming in, Big O, and Titan Tim. So what's going on, everybody? How's everything? How is your Friday going? And yeah, so that is what's been so we're going to talk about this podcast is, you know, in the perfect interior cleaner or detailer, whatever you want to do it, however you all want to call it. I'm just mainly going to segregate them into two separate sections, meaning a interior cleaner or a interior detailer, and which one I feel is better than the other. And I will talk about the pros and cons in that type of sense. And what's going on, David? And that is pretty much the premise of this video. So yeah, so I've been using a bunch of interior cleaners, and you know what, before we get started with that, so my garage is pretty much 100% done, I would say. I have my air compressor, and let me bring you all in so you all can see what's going on. Westcat, Adamo, what is going on? So let me show you what I got going on. My car is dirty, so I am going to detail. Whoops. Um, After this podcast, I'm going to give it a wash because I drove about 400 miles already on it, and it's pretty dirty. It has bugs. So this is what I got so far. So I ended up getting the Harbor Freight Fortress air compressor and the Flexzilla thing. All I got to do is just get the quick connects from Lowe's, and that is it. Here is my Mighty HP60 extractor. I love that thing. One thing about Mighty though is they did give me a defective I want to say HP60, so I had to bring it to a repair shop, and they took care of it. It was like yeah, first it was a broken rocker switch, then after that um yeah, I switched out the buttons, looked at the wiring, except and changed out the rocker myself, and it didn't work. I even tried to swap out the leads just to see if it was just probably a terminal or something, and nothing was working. And I just didn't want to open up the bottom and check all the wiring and all that stuff. And then once I took it to the vacuum repair shop, they ended up finding out that it was actually wasn't wired correctly, and the ground was slightly corroded, but they took care of that issue. Pretty cheap fix. So yeah, it cost me about like 60 bucks, 70 bucks. And I appreciate them for doing that. And it's my look, mistakes happen. But it was gonna cost me a lot more to bring it to a certified Mighty type of vacuum place, which the closest one I think was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I had to leave it there for about like 2 to 3 days, then drive back and pick it up, which is a 3.5 hour drive, and it's not something I want to do that drive, back and forth twice. So yeah, so let's see some of the comments. I see people already typing up. What's going on, Rick Smith, David, everybody else saying hello. Been rocking the same cabinets for a couple of years now. Solid yeah, bro. Yo, Drago, they're freaking phenomenal. I mean, it's my first time actually having these type of cabinets, and I like them. It's a great build for the price. I definitely want to get I'll probably upgrade this one in the next couple of years and see what we got. So, but yeah, so Sock the Spider Pad King. I love the Spider Pads. A lot of people. Let me see if I could show my screen. Let me go to my screen, and you all are going to possibly laugh. I don't know if I deleted the entire thing or not, but there is a video that I have, or you know what? I think it's actually on my phone. Let me take a look on my phone, and you all gonna. This is before YouTube and I started all this stuff, and my old logo was like black and purple. That's what I had before, and all that stuff. It's just it's a long time. It is a long time. And let me see if I got my So this was my old logo back in the days. See that? That is it was like black and purple and white, and then had that was my business card. So that is old school. And I dude, I used spider cut pads. And let me see if I do have a quick video here. That is the funny part. It's right around here, the spider pads. And yeah, they're just dude, I had the only reason why I don't buy them is just because they're so hard to come by. They're just very hard to come by. They're always out of market. But I only like the spider pads for like the 3-inch pads, if that makes sense. That's pretty much what I like. Really, is just for like I don't really like the spider pads as a 5-inch because they do leave a little bit of marring. And just the downside with the spider pads is that I did forget to mention in the video with Titan Tim, because we were trying to rapid fire, is the spider pads. If you get, say, on like an emblem or something, they shave off pretty easily. And I have one. So the problem with these spider pads is, you see it's used up. But problem with these spider pads, if you get caught in the emblem, it'll just rip out and fall out, kind of like a rinse or wash sponge. But yeah, I mean, they're I like it. I like it a lot. And I think I found the video too right here on my phone showcasing it, so you all can see. Spider pad. And I'll show y'all where I was actually detailing from too as well. Got my do 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 do. Damn, I have a lot of this. Is crazy old. This was my old detailing setup, and this was a scat pack that I did. This was in my original home in New York, as you see right there. And that's what I ended up doing. That's where we actually detailed from before we actually had an actual garage. And I had that tight space. So I ended up doing my detailing in my grandmother's garage. And that is pretty much it. I had the 100-foot, you know, extension cord, all this other stuff. And yeah, so that is where I was initially just detailing from. It was just such a tight space. This was me doing a walk around on a car, on a Jeep, and I would have to move the car all the way to one side, polish that half, my wife and I, and then we'll have to move the car directly to the other side, and then as close as possible to the wall, and then polish the whole other half. And and then the spider pads were here somewhere. Unless, yeah, so yeah, it it was some growing, and we grew a lot. All right, so I can't find that video. I have a bunch of videos from the old times. It's just I can't find that spider pad one. But I did it on a blue Fiat. And yeah, so let's get started with the video. Let's see if we got any questions before I get started, and that way we could get set up. Yo, what's going on, Todd? Everything's good. Just a bit slow down here. It's summertime, and it's kind of slow detailing wise, from what I hear from many detailers down here in the south. Sock, you got your mini split set up? Yep, my mini split is right there, as you can see. Bam. That is my mini split West. Sock getting that OG garage vibe. Hell no, I got that cheap garage vibe. I don't buy everything. Crazy. Cabinets and door, you a styling. Bro, I'm just trying to have everything set up. It's better to have everything set up in one shot than, I mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely overspend over my budget, but I'd rather have everything set up now that everything's fresh than having to, buy the cabinets, then remove all the cabinets outside, do the floors, and once I'm done doing the floors, put everything back in. It's just it's a lot more work um than just getting everything started. So you have I heard they are good. We have a 3D distributor, man. Yep. Yep, exactly. Pretty much it. I don't think they really make a huge quantity of it either. I think it's just a small batch they go at a time and then that's it. Hey Sock and you boys over at Labo released a new line. Your boys over at Labo released a new line of ready to use products. Is that a new line? I gotta see what's up. Are you talking about the Maniac line? If it's so, because Labo has their Maniac line, which been out for a while already. So yeah. The spider pads, well, I'll buy them actually at Addoality. That's where I buy the spider pads and yeah, that's pretty much it. Addoality or 3D products on their website. That's pretty much where I used to buy them. Yes, sir. You already got I got my Labo shelf. I got my compounds polishes. I got things just all set up. Amazon, I haven't tried Amazon. I mean, I've just been so used to buying it on Addoality or 3D products. So I just used to get them there. I bought a whole bunch because since they were always sold out, I always had extra in stock. And this is legit my last one in the past, like since started with the like 2020 or whatever. So let's see. Oh, Rupes Yellow works for me personally. It's nothing wrong with the Rupes pads. I always enjoyed Rupes. Their polishing pads. It's just for me, they just don't last as long. But again, it's all preference. I love the medium wool pad for, cutting and finishing. If you're going to do like an all-in-one AIO in on softer paints, and then the Rupes, yeah, it's just weird. It's just certain things they're not bad. Staple in the industry for a reason. What's the next thing? What I would give for a mini split, dude. I gave my soul for that. I spent. Titan Tim will tell you on how much I like. He's not gonna tell you how much I spent, but he knows I went way over budget with my garage. I just said I'm going all in, and that's it. I'm not just gonna do little by little. I just said, you live once. That's it. YOLO. Sakuraj is nice and chilly with that mini split. Yep, you came by. You remember when you stopped by. Titan Tim says, do you usually use ready to use interiors or do you like to mix the ratios yourself? Um, so it all depends. I mean, and this is the whole premise of the video. So that's a great question, Titan Tim. So for me, if you're an enthusiast, um, a ready to use or even a dilutable interior cleaner is the best way to go because that's you live in your interior the most time you are with your vehicle, you're inside the car. You can if you drive to work and it's a daily driver, you're probably spilling a bit of coffee here and there, that and all this other stuff. You're going to need to clean it up, mop it up, do something. Now, when to choose, say, a interior cleaner or a detailer, that is a premise. So for me, I enjoy to have an interior detailer at all times. And then if things get heavy, then I'll probably use, say Typhon on here. Then I have Dutile and Glico from Labo Cosmetica just sitting up there just in case as well. What else? The whole thing is there's a bunch of great interior detailers out there that is kind of hard to mess up on one. Most of them are pretty good. And most people, again, I still test chemicals. I still use this, and I am testing some stuff out, like this one right here. So a subscriber told me it's great. So I don't know. I just test stuff just to see, and give everything a fair shot. So that's Jimbo's right there. Which other ones I had? Of course, I've used PNS Swift. which a lot of interior detailers do the job, and I recommend people to just get an interior detailer for most of your needs. And then if you need a true cleaner, then just get something like Typhon. And in terms of a true cleaner, I like Typhon as an interior cleaner because, like Titan Tim says, it is dilutable and it has a fresh, clean scent. It just smells super clean, and you have a dilution. I keep this diluted in a 1 to I like to do overkill in terms of my dilution ratio, especially with interior cleaners, because I do have 2 daughters. So the car will get messy with them when if they spill milk or cookies, crumbs, juice in the back. So I like to keep things at a 1 to 5. Now, if it's just you and your vehicle and nobody else really, you could have that diluted in a 1 to 10, and this will last you pretty much a very long time. If you have a 1 to 10 dilution, that is it's gonna take you can make like 16 ounce bottles in a 1 to 10 pretty much. So that is how I like to do things. But most of the time, me personally, um, I'll keep a detailer and then I'll have a concentrate of an interior cleaner. So he said, nah, Labo announced some new stuff earlier this week. I'm gonna have to take a look and see what's up. No, it was released today, Labo. Ready to use Ala KC Blue Line. I gotta damn. You guys are on that quicker than I am. A lot of products, and that's weird. So what's the difference between did they tell you what's the difference between the Maniac line and the Labo line? Because they're exactly the same from what I remember. Maniac is their consumer or enthusiast. What's going on, Mike? It's Labo ready to use bottles have white labels. Okay. All right. Definitely gonna take a look at that for sure, just because it's one of those things where it's that another fantastic one, Griot's Garage, their interior cleaner. Bro, that thing cleans. That thing cleans. Typhon 1 to 7, Titan 10. Like I said, I use it in the strongest. I use it 1 to 10. And then yeah, so let's see. For me, I prefer concentrates and gallons of the stuff I'm running through frequently and stick to 16 hours. Exactly. That is the best place to say it. You won't dilute a rinseless to make a wireless wash. I'll just buy a dedicated wireless. Exactly. Sometimes it's just how everything you know floats. I mean, for me, it's exactly what you said. Is I would initially buy things in concentrate, most that I use up, like say a tire cleaner. I have ADS tire cleaner up there, or just you all know me. I love Primus. Primus, pre-wash, alkaline wash. I love that stuff just because it works great in direct sunlight. It's just phenomenal. And then yeah, it says Griot's Garage interior detailers as good as a cleaner. Um, you see that no detailer is going to be as good as a cleaner, per se. Um, Remember, your interior cleaner is a jack of all trades, master of none. So if you're going to use an interior cleaner, you're cleaning up and protecting at once instead of having to deep clean or almost reset the surface and then put something on top. So what I like to say really is like your DIY detail, interior clean and protect, your even Geon's interior quick detailer. All these interiors quick detailer does everything in one. So it has mild to moderate cleaning capabilities and then have some protection capabilities, even detail coat sword. If you do it in a 1 to 10, you're able to clean and it has some UV protection. If you're going to use a straight, that is a dilutable product. If you're going to use a straight, then guess what? You're going to clean like a monster. Typhon, unfortunately, is yes, you could use a straight, but this is meant to be as an interior cleaner, not a interior detailer. But yeah, so that is that. So what are my favorites interior detailer? So I've been playing around with pans. I mean, to me, pans one is it's all right. It smells good. I haven't really used it so much, so I can't really say that. So I really like the DIY detail interior clean and protect. I also do enjoy. Let me skip to this. And so I also did enjoy PNF Swift. It's another great interior cleaner. It's a pretty much an all-in-one. Um, then what's another great one that I've used before? I'm trying to think of like very good ones. I already said the Geon detailer as well. Um, Another great detailer. Yeah, those are pretty much it. Is those were my top three favorite ones that I've used, just because I like how it left a little bit of a darkening effect. Those would be my top three go-tos for that. And if I do want to say, as a fourth one, as an honorable mention, 303 makes an awesome interior detailer, which does leave a nice satin look, which is great. So those will be my top four. Those will be my top four for me personally, as an interior detailer, per se. Sword has taken over my interior. Exactly. Sword is so dilutable. It's awesome. I have a gallon right up in here, and the only thing that gets me all the time with Sword is it just doesn't have a smell. So it's like back and forth. Sometimes with I don't want to say it's back and forth with the customer, but sometimes the customer expects a smell because they will use, say, a Turtle Wax or a McGuire's or any other type of quick detailer that leaves a smell behind, that has that lingering smell. And they're just like, "Oh, did you do anything?" It's like, "Yes, we did clean it." But that's about it. So I have Sword on the shelf. Need to test that. Yep. There's a lot of great choices. It's kind of hard to mess up in this market an interior detailer at this point. Let me take a quick sip. Excuse me. So yeah, if you need Glico, is there. Yep. Glico is the acid one. I like Glico, but I like Dutila just a little bit better. Interior detailers are effectively waterless washes for the interior. They're fine for a quick wipe down. Exactly. And then most of the time, if you are doing it all every couple of days or so, a quick wipe down, or every week, an interior detailer is awesome. Again, if it doesn't get that dirty, if it gets super dirty, if you have kids in the car every single day like I do, then you may just want an interior cleaner for sure, a dedicated interior cleaner like Detail Core Sword, Typhon, and there's other brands out there as well. Exactly. Pilot's another one. Pilot. So Pilot is another great from ADS. So Pilot, you see, Pilot, I will go straight. I will put that a little bit more as an interior cleaner, believe it or not, and not really an interior detailer. Just because, again, they don't claim it, and I've said this in my review many couple months ago, a year and a half, whatever I made the review on Pilot. So they don't claim it to have micro whatever, antibacterial properties that, prevents like microbes and stuff from regrowing after you clean. They don't claim that. But it does clean, it smells good, and it does leave a nice matte finish. But it has a lot more cleaning power than just a regular detailer. So I will put that as Pilot as an interior cleaner. I will put that there with, say, like TriClean, because TriClean has that certificate about it being a microbial cleaner. So yeah, Omnia, yep. Omnia is a great one. Do I have Omnia here? I don't think I have it. No, I don't have Omnia here. How's the newborn? She's good. I'm a bit tired, worn out, waking up every 2 hours, with the wife. So yeah, it's just been a lot. So it's a blessing and a curse. I haven't detailed really anything here, down here, but you know, Titan Tim will hit me up sometimes. I'm like, dude, I'm just waking up. Had a rough night. Baby kept keeping me up. So yeah. Yes, I did try Ethos Interior Detailer. I do have a video on it, Titan Tim. I do have a video on it. So it does smell great. It's just surprisingly is there is a lot of people, for example, my customers that just didn't like the coconut smell. they didn't like the coconut smell. But I love the way, to me, Ethos leaves the best darkening richness effect on the panel. And for me, it smells good, and it smells for a couple days. But surprisingly, coconut I thought would be a crazy popular smell. But when I used it back in New York, um, out of like 20 customers, like six of them didn't like it. I'm like, all right. So I guess, it's like one out of every three customers doesn't like it. So you know, make something that I guess just has a clean scent, maybe, and that's it. You have a case of Armor All Interior Cleaner and Interior Sponge Cleaning Sponge from 30 years. Oh yeah, the Armor, the Armor All, and they still clean somewhat. That is crazy. Yeah, so Geon Interior Cleaner is good. Their interior cleaner is good. Their detailer, to me, I enjoy their detailer better than their cleaner. That is the way to go for. Blackfire, damn, I haven't used Blackfire since my Auto Geek days. Another great one. Damn, Blackfire. Jeez, I even use their coatings. I even use their one step polish. Damn, that brings me back to like 2019. So Typhon says straight for spot removal, but I did an experiment with PNS carpet and Typhon actually worked. Thoughts? I know combining chemicals isn't ideal, but was curious. I've never tried it, so I mean, PNS carpet bomber is a great step for their three-step for their interiors. Just the thing is, for to use it as spot treatment, you said you mix both. Is that what you did? You didn't start using this with Typhon. Yeah. So if it worked well, then I guess it worked well. I mean, there's certain things that you can mix that just ends up working. But yeah, the PNS carpet bomber is great, for those spot treatments as well, and even their Terminator. So um, that's that. For me, I use, of course, you've seen on my videos mainly is Ductile, just because you can do it in a stronger concentration, and then that, and then even Carlos likes the PNS system for pretty much dry extraction, really, if you're just spraying it on and you don't really have to soak it. And it's especially a great system. That's why I like the 2 pH system, just because that eliminates one step from the 3 step from PNS. But even though PNS still does a great job for those dry extractions on light color interior, that way you definitely prevent a lot of wicking. Ethos Fresh Up or Interior Detailer? Interior Detailer over Fresh Up. I don't like the Fresh Up smell. You see that, and that's the thing with interior cleaners, right? It's like a hit or miss. It's either you make one with no scent, then people's like, oh, it doesn't have a scent, or you make one with a scent and then people don't like it because it's either too fruity, too cherry, too clean. It smells like vanilla, all this other stuff. So it's that. Yeah, coconut scent in general is a love it or hate it scent. Exactly. Exactly. Lithium interior detailer is good. To be quite honest, I've never used the lithium interior detail. So all the ones I've used was CarPro, Inner Clean, Geon's Interior Quick Detailer. I've used obviously DIY. I've used Sword. I use Griot's Garage. Which other one I've used? Yeah, I've used a bunch of ones, but lithium is one of them that I know for sure I didn't use. Says Tim, you want an old school caddy. So yeah, so you spray bomber to get the stain out, but it still smelled. So I added Typhon since it helps with an odor and took it out. Well, there you go. That's a great combo. Sometimes you just got to mix stuff. This is why I say not one product line makes the best everything. It's just you pick and choose on which ones you're gonna get. Said just buy Typhon and call it a day. I'm glad, dude. Typhon smells so good. The only thing with Typhon is it doesn't protect. It just cleans. So if you're gonna use it all the time, you're going to have to definitely at least put something on it. Um and here's the thing. Here's the crazy part. most of the time for me as a daily driver, I'm most likely just gonna use a damp and rinseless towel to clean my interior, just to do a quick wipe down. That's just me because I don't need that crazy, crazy clean. And if it could clean dirt, grit, and grime on the outside of the car, it could definitely clean those regular just finger stains and stuff like that 90% of the time easily off the interior. That's it. You save money right there, and yeah, and you have some polymer protection to give it some, some light polymer protection if you're gonna use, say, say O&R, if you're gonna use O&R or use something with like some protection quality, say clean by pans, rinse or wash stuff. If you're gonna use stuff like that, it has some protection properties, so that way you're able to, keep it going, and that's it. Even lightning, using lightning as a quick detailer. Yep. You can follow up with Finrear 5-to-1 or 10-to-1 for the interior. That's a great point, Rick Smith. But yeah, that is the question at choice. Really, is do you want, after you clean your interior, do you want to do the 2-in-1 method where you're gonna get a jack of all trades, master of none, or do you really want to just call it a day and just say, I'm going to go all in on my interior today. I'm going to wipe it down, clean it, and then I'm going to add some protection on it. If you have the time and that is what you want to do, then guess what? Use a straight interior cleaner, then follow it up with a protection step. Now, if you just want to do a 2-in-1, then guess what? Then just don't expect the best results. But if you're going to use a 2-in-1, just use that 2-in-1 more frequently. If it's just you by yourself, wipe your interior down once a week, once every 2 weeks. If you're super clean, do a quick wipe down. That is going to take care of 90% of that dirt, grit, and grime that you have on your interior that you build up. And then every month, if you want, just go straight for an interior cleaner. That is how I would follow up with things. He says, B Rock says he threw Finrear on this week on the inside. It's not bad in Toyota plastic. Looks shiny, but the next day it's good. Yeah, so with Finrear, I haven't used it on any interior yet, and I'm gonna be straightforward, y'all. I probably won't. That is, I've never really like, top things really with anything. Is like when I do my deep interior details, I would clean the interior. Say I'll use Detail Coat Sword, and it has some UV inhibitors in it already, and you have a matte finish. So that is what I make. Superior Products makes another great product line. I think, I'm trying to remember. I think, is it the green stuff? I think it is the green stuff for the interior. I forgot the name of it, but it's another one. Yeah, that is it. But Finrear is great on, like I said, I probably won't use it on the interiors, maybe here and there, but that's it. Zap it. It's the green color, right? Or I'm getting confused with their all-purpose cleaner, because I know they have one called like cherry something, or pink power. I forgot what they just have a bunch of stuff. Yes, so I have used 3D's leather, vinyl, and plastic cleaner. Works great. I've used their I've used it before. Sock, explain your upcoming Cadillac almost disaster interior details. All right, so pretty much we have Titan Tim's gonna help me record this. It's a 2013 Cadillac. You've all seen it before on the channel, but it's going to get an interior detail done. And the last time it got in detail, I think the owner said really like deep clean or anything was, I think it was probably never. He said he always had his grandkids in the car and all this stuff, and then just never really had the time to detail it. And they're sticky like gum, a little bit of candy. The leather seats look very oily and greasy just because of just years of buildup. Dashboard. So Titan Tim's gonna help me record that, and I'll show you all the process on how we do things. And the crazy part is that it's going to come out brand new. Even on the front windshield, he has like this strip line, and it's a sticky residue glue, like when you put up a say like a holder or something that you stick up on the windshield. So yeah, so that thing is like all melted down. It is really, really bad. So once you all see that video, it's going to be crazy, and I'm definitely going to use some heavy hitters on there. So stay tuned for that video. And yeah, then hopefully it should be out. I'm probably going to do that car next week. Yeah, so it's gonna be next week, sometime next week. So that video won't be out till probably like the following 2 weeks or so after, because I do have some videos in the chamber. It is going to be a crazy transformation. I already pictured the transformation in my head, just because I've been doing this for a while, so I know the type of result I can get. And once I see that vision, I just know he's just gonna be super, super excited once he sees that. It's wild. So I only use the dressing on older vehicles, otherwise quick detailing. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing too, is just like for that 2013, you know what? That is a great point. So for that type of vehicle, use um I may use fin rear, just because since I'm going crazy heavy using a steamer, using either Typhon. I got to see which one works for me best for what's there. I may use Typhon, Duke the Alero Sword. I don't know, whatever floats my boat that day. That's how I roll. And whatever gives me the result I want, I'll use those products. And then I'll probably use fin rear, just because I am using the steamer and steaming the heck out of everything. So that is when I'm going to apply a say like a protection per se. The best combo in the industry is Titan Tim and Docs. Best combo, best combo. We have a lot of thoughts and plans that we want to do on video. So once we get more customers and once we have more time on our hands, it will be more of like, we want to talk about the best polishes, like compounds, polishes, and finishing polish. We're going to be talking about that. And I want to grab a canvas, a vehicle, and then just show like almost checkerboard it. Fuck, you know what? I may freaking just get a rental car and then just do that as a checkerboard, spend like $40 for the day, and just do a whole checkerboard on that whole car and just return it back to the rental. And Tim and I would just, fast forward just a clip on all the boxes, doing all the combinations as possible, using different polishing pads and using our favorite polishing pads and just showing the results. So I don't know. It's just a lot of things. It's just when you're trying to make a video, you want to give as much information as possible, but you don't want to be too boring on just having it sitting there for 30, 40 minutes at a time, and just sitting there like, damn, I just spoke about one polish in 40 minutes. So it's just, I'm Titan Tim and I are trying to find a balance on which one, how we want to go about it, or maybe it just may be straight compounds. Who freaking knows? That is something that we'll talk. Yep, the suction cups on the windshield. Yep, and that crappy blue, it just melted off here in the Myrtle Beach heat. Hey, I see all the tinters using scrub pads to clean gas. How come I never see that in the detail? Well, so for the scrub pads to detail glass, it's just, how do I say it? So those scrub pads, here's the thing, is these tinters do know when to use something more aggressive. So for example, just the scrub pads to clean glass is just super easy. That is like, that's how we do things most of the time. But what a lot of people like to do, and what I like to do, for example, if I have sticky film on the glass, instead of using a scrub pad, I actually like to grab a little bit of, say, a polish. So whatever polish I have, it could be fab, it could be just a polish. I don't need a compound. Or you can even use Adam's Brilliant Glaze. That's something that a lot of people have been using for many years, and I've learned that hack a long time ago. You grab it and just actually deep clean the glass, and you're going to need multiple towels. So you're going to do one towel for, just say, the whole windshield, because you're going to flip it over and make sure you scrub that out. And then sometimes tinters don't show that type of thing of them actually deep cleaning the glass before using the scrub pad. So it just depends on how things go. And then That's pretty much how I've seen things. Sock, if you have time for topic, tell me about the bottle on the shelf. Is that Tim's? Yes, that is Tim's high gloss detailing. Let me bring it over here. Bam. Oops. So that's Tim's high gloss detailer, and this is what I use on mine. So, yep, that is what I have here. Great stuff. Using direct sunlight, used as a drying aid, doesn't streak. Just awesome. Exactly, Rick. Scrub pads are good, just if not exactly. And then for tinting, even sometimes tinters use a polish. They don't use a machine, but they do a little bit. Like I said, use Brilliant Glaze from Adams or something, or use a glaze to get that extra minute type of cut and to deep clean before they actually use a scrub pad to get rid of that extra polish residue or glaze residue, so that way they're able to properly lay the tint down, and so it sticks to the windshield. I think he was talking. Yep, exactly. Scrub pad Ramar tint. They use it to help prep glass because of the glue left behind. Yep, exactly. Like a finger and a thumb. Yep, completely opposites. Sometimes Ty and Tim will say something. I'm like, nope, and then I would say something, and Tim would look at me like, no, that is not gonna be that way. I was like, ah. So Slick says, what about streaks on the windshield? Seems to be the bane of a lot of detailers. Yeah, no mention. So the streaks on windshields are, again, you have a film stuck behind. So if you're gonna use that, most detailers really use, like I said, a brilliant glaze. Sometimes the streaks on the windshield is using a dirty towel as well. Sometimes detailers use a just their bare hands and no gloves. And if you're wiping the windshield down or the windows and you flip the towel over, guess what? That oil and grease and grime that was on your hand on the towel, you flipped it over. Now you just rub it into paint. There's just a lot of reasonings and you know reasons why stuff like that happens. That's like one of, I don't know, just many reasons of why you can get some streaking on glass, and sometimes it's using too much product in the heat too. Sometimes you get stuff like that. It's a product that just smeared. A lot of reasons. Yeah, so scratching tint, definitely. We don't want to scratch that whatsoever. Sometimes if it's there, that's it. See what we got. See what else we got. You bought Carpool Reflect and one small section. The Fiero is in the mail, and I finished the rest of the car. I don't think I'll ever switch. Wait, I bought Carpool Reflect and did one small section. The Fiero came in the mail, and I finished the rest of the car with it. I don't think. So you're saying you're not gonna switch? Are you saying you're gonna use Fiero from now on? And I'm confused on what you just said. Have I used Essence? Yo, I got one thing about Essence, and I'm gonna tell you my issue with Essence. Essence is great. It does really good, but how can you be a primer polish when you read the instructions? It tells you to wipe it down with CarPro Eraser. That is just something to think about. I've used Essence prior in the past, but if you read the directions closely, it tells you to wipe down with that. Fiero, on the other hand, is completely different. They tell you not to use any panel prep or anything before applying a coating. So is Essence really an actual primer polish? That is a quick question to ask that. Hell yeah, I'm sheesh. Yep. Yep. That is what it says, B Riley. Trust me, I've seen it Essence, maybe Essence Plus, one of those polishes. You have to if you're using Carpro, you have to wipe it down. And that's why I stopped using it, because it's like, how can you be a primer polish if I have to wipe it down? So yeah. Now, Fierro, on the other hand, is there's two things. So Fierro does dry up a little bit quicker on the panel than Essence does. And Essence have maybe a little bit more minute of a cut, nothing too crazy. And just Fierro, of course, is it clogs up your pad. So if you're going to use Fierro, I recommend swapping out your pads, because remember, you don't want to use a pad wash or anything with Fierro. I learned that the hard way. But when I use Fierro, for example, was after two panels, it will get clogged up because you needed to use a significant amount to make sure you get an extra cut that you need to, because it has very, very small abrasives. And so yeah, so you're gonna cut, and then after two panels, like I said, say you do a front fender and a door, just swap out, get another pad, put it in there, and that's it. So that is the best thing that I got. Yep, with Fierro primer polish for Iroke. Yep. Yeah, so that is pretty much it. So if you're gonna use Fierro, because you're not gonna clean the pad and it does clog up your pads pretty quickly, just change every two panels. Just change, and you'll be fine. And make sure, and this is what any primer polish, just make sure you wipe off the polish residue. Um, with the primer polishes, the only reason why I tell you that is because sometimes you think you left a high spot, but what happens is you have a streak mark and it looks like a high spot, but it's not a high spot. It's because you didn't wipe your primer polish correctly and you coated right over that polish. And then you have that streak mark on there, and it's just a pain to remove. That is that. Westcat, Dr. Beasley's or Fierro. Dr. Beasley's is expensive though. Okay. For me, out of the two, if I would have to choose the best primer polishes, I would mostly say Dr. Beasley's, and I will tell you why I choose Dr. Beasley's over Fierro. Because Fierro is mainly for the final step, because it doesn't have that good of a cut whatsoever. Dr. Beasley's, on the other hand, is you can use their NSP 95 and you get a nice medium to finer cut. So you could get a little bit more aggressive and get a true one step with that. And then you wipe it down and then you're able to coat right over it. Now, if you get the ghosting effect, don't worry about it. It's going to look hazy. You coat right over it and it's going to look like the haze coming out. For some reason, that is normal. Even Phil Miranda has a bunch of videos on it as well. It's not going to interfere with any coating, but I would choose Dr. Beasley's for that reason. Second thing too, Dr. Beasley, although it is a little bit more expensive, Westcat, you legit only need like one tiny pea-sized drop. And I know it's kind of hard to get that thing around, around your head, because you're using one tiny drop on this whole big 5-inch or 6-inch pad. It's going to feel like you're dry buffing a bit, but it does have a lot of lubrication once you start working it in. So it's just one of those things that, that's why I would choose Dr. Beasley's over Fierro. Now, if I'm using it as a finishing polish, then you could go with either or. Doesn't really matter at this point. So that is my pros and cons. And I have them right here. So this is 150 is their heavy cut. This is their finishing is the 45. And then the 95 is which I use the most if I'm going just to do a quick one step and coat right over it if I'm just doing that stuff. So yeah. But if you do a one step, it's like at that point, am I going to use Fierro to really keep going, or I'll just apply app? It's just, I don't know. It's just so many choices as a detailer that you have. Is like no real wrong way. It's just which process you find easier is what's going to make, what is going to make it. And you got Conway. Conway says you use Fierro. What's going on, Conway? 88. Yeah. Dr. Beasley's, again, all of these primer polishes that you use have some type of negative effect. It's not going to be roses every single day. It's going to be some like Dr. Beasley. When I use a heavy cut, this thing was a nightmare to use. I will avoid the heavy cut. This is how full this thing sounds. You see that? Have this thing all the way to the top. I would avoid this. Just use a regular heavy cut compound. Wipe it down, and if you're going to just finish it off, say use a heavy cut compound and you want to use N95, just wipe it down real quick with a panel prep. You could just wipe it down with a panel prep. Just spray it, clean it, panel prep all around, and then just use this and then just coat right over it. Bam, you're done. Quick and easy. But Fierro is way too minute of a cut to use it. So if I'm doing a one step, I'll use say a gold standard for more of a cut. Wipe it down, then use app or any other polish. Now, if I know for sure the one step is going to work just perfectly, because if you overwork this, you will leave like this weird hazing, and it's just so again, everything has its pro and a con. Just if you use Fierro, you're going to clog up your pads. If you're not swapping it out every 2 panels, you're going to clog up your pads and you're not going to get the same effect around the vehicle. So yeah, it's just pros and cons with everything. Exactly. Fierro was designed as a finish polish. Exactly. So it will go with, again, like your Rupes Uno Pure, NSP 45. That is the best comparison, like I stated earlier. So you were thinking about earlier this week, what are some good primal preps I've tried quite a few, and I always ended up returning to Eraser. All right. So for me personally, I don't enjoy Eraser. And I've always told people, and I had this video from over a year ago, so you could take a look at my YouTube channel, Detailing Made Simple. I only use my top 3 that I use is or top 2 really that I really use only in places. I use freaking Peleus panel prep and then Veritas because it's dilutable. Now if you're gonna use Veritas from Labo Cosmetica, there is one thing that Reggie says, and he even mentioned it on a video recently, which, you know, I spoke with Reggie from before, is that depending on the brands of polishes, it's not going to remove every single polishing oil or whatever that's left behind. That is the only downside with Labo. Now, Reggie never, you know, directly told me which brands per se it doesn't work on, because again, he doesn't want to put down any brands. But in terms of certain polishing and whatever chemistry that they use in these polishes, is that it's not going to work. It's not going to remove every single part of that polishing oil. So for me, I always use, pretty much my number 1 is Peleus panel prep, and then number 2 is Fierro. And you know, I said Fierro. Veritas because it's dilutable, and I use it in a 1 to 2. I've even mentioned this to Fine Detailing, Ryan from Fine Detailing, because he even asked me which is my favorite. I told him, get Peleus. You're not gonna regret it. It is super slick under the towel. It cleans up perfectly, and then after like 2 minutes, 3 minutes or so, it's going to feel super grabby, and you've cleaned and rinsed off your polishing oils. I always tell people that all the time. Take a look on, I think the video name is called Who Makes the Best Detailing Products, and I go through all the brands, and Peleus and Veritas are my top 2. And that is obviously before Thor was a thing. We're talking about a video over a year and a half ago. Yep, you can call right over Fierro as well. Yep, that's exactly what I said. Conway, I did say that. And I did tell them they do have to wipe down, make sure they remove the polishing oil, because if you coat right over that little streak mark that you didn't wipe off properly, it's annoying. Yeah, it sometimes all depends on what polishes you're using. So if you're using, say, Sonax Perfect Finish or something like that, it's very oily, or even Manzurna 3-in-1. Those type, you really got to go heavy. And even with CarPro Eraser, I had to go back to wiping it down like 2 to 3 times to remove those polishing oils when, again, using something like Manzurna heavy cut compound or something like that, or even their polish that is just super oily at times. Yep. Veritas is good. B. Riley, great, top 2. But for me, my favorite of all time at the moment is Peleus. Peleus. And then Veritas, number 2. What's going on, Conway? Yeah, so Veritas is great on removing tree sap. If you use that thing straight, it could even remove some coatings that haven't even been, say, 24 hours to like or 48 hours cured. Like you put that on there, it can remove some coatings. You will actually see the residue of the coating of the resin just coming out. And he's done this even on his trainings, um, showcase that as well. Yep. Yep, don't use it with a pad washer. Glad I could help with that. I've learned my lesson with that with inconsistent results. And then using the pad washer, you dilute a little bit of the Fiero and then it's not going the coating isn't gonna adhere properly. You're gonna get a lot of patch spots. Yeah, that is exactly what I said. I said, how is Fiero gonna remove some coatings or most coatings on the market without 24 hours cure time, remove it, but can't remove polishing oils? And I said, and that's why I always use, if I use Veritas, I still use it I use it diluted one to two. Just because if you use it 1 to 1, it gets a bit too grabby. But if you use it just 1 to 2, I like that dilution better. Fine Lab is another great panel prep. Detail Code Bolivian is another great one. You use Veritas 1 to 4. That's great. I know Labo recommends 1 to 5. I trust me, 1 to 2 is your best bet, Corey. From here on out, trust me, use 1 to 2, because you will run into some issues afterwards. I don't know why they again remember their 1 to 4 and 1 to 5 ratios mainly for their Audace or their Leale. They're really concentrating more on their brand. So if you really want that extra cleaning power, I always suggest a 1 to 2, just especially if you're using any other brand polishes, just to make sure you remove that polishing oil and try to make sure you removed it. That is my best advice for that. Rinseless, yes, I will use rinseless as panel by panel, but not. Yeah, I mean, when I remove polishing oils, that's what I do too as well. So that's it. So pretty much, damn, we already spoke 58 minutes. Damn, we went talking from interiors to talking about primer polishes. So yeah, so that's it. That's why you like Fine Labs panel prep, heavy surfactants, and solvent base that remove all oils. One thing is the incorrect use of panel prep is speaking from yep, exactly. Yep. Fiero and tooth. But yeah, so all right, everybody. So we're 58 minutes in. I appreciate you all talking. I know what we spoke about was mainly on interior cleaner versus interior detailer. For me personally, if you're going to get an interior cleaner, I prefer a dilutable one. And then if you're going to get an interior detailer, guess what? They all come ready to use. And just use an interior detailer once a week or once every 2 weeks, just to give a fresh up on your interior all the time, add some protection. And then once a month, once every 2 months, whatever, however frequent or how dirty it gets, it's going to just use a deep clean, just hit it, bam, clean it, and then protect it with whatever interior protectant of your choice. But yeah, have you tried stout yet? No, I haven't tried PNS stout yet. So I haven't tried many new coatings whatsoever. I've been pretty much fanboying, to be honest, on HPC Pro and the C6 coatings. The Pro line, not the Hydrolite, just the C6 Diamond and the Hydro, because those I don't know what, like, it is a night and day difference between C6 Hydro and the DIY. It's just their style. But HPC Pro, to me, I love, and I even tell Reggie to this day, I don't know why they sell HPC Pro and release HPC 2.0 when they're both just as easy to apply. Uh, that is my thing. That is my thing. What's my go-to interior detailer? So my interior detailer that I will go to at the moment is, I just like to enjoy just the DIY, especially since they updated their formula, because the first time it used to leave some streaks behind, but now it doesn't leave anything. So So yeah, so that is my favorite at the moment, and I love the smell of it. I've tried Ethos interior cleaner or interior detailer. The only problem with the Ethos one is it smells like coconuts, and it's one of those hit or miss for the smell. It to me, it has the best darkening effect. It gives the best appearance, but that smell is pretty strong. It will sit in your customer's vehicle for a while, and customers, if you're using it as a customer, like I said, out of 20 customers, like six of them, seven of them didn't like the smell of the coconuts, and yeah, so it's a hit or miss. So I like the DIY detail one because it just smells like a fresh, clean scent, um, and that is the type that you need. What is going on, Sam Squatch? Thank you, thank you. But yeah, so that is pretty much it. So my favorite interior detailer at the moment is what I end up using is DIY detail, and then from interior cleaner, I was swapping between depending on the severity. If I'm doing a quick deep clean, if I'm using interior cleaner, I'm probably using Duke Dile and Glico. If I'm going to do some crazy fabrics, if I'm using plastics, if I'm if I'm cleaning carpets, that's what I'll use, a 2 pH system or seats. And if I'm using it to clean like door panels and refreshing and deodorizing, then I'm using Typhon diluted. If it's heavy 101 or 1 or 2, I like to make sure I nuke the crap out of the interiors. Or yeah, that's it. And then if I'm using a carpet extractor like my Mighty HP60, I'm probably using BioBreak and Flex Ice. So that is what I am doing. So yeah, that is what I got. Oh, and of course, Detail Sword. So yeah. So that is pretty much it. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. The hour passed by so quick. It was fun chatting with you all. And I will see you all on the next one. If you want any products, just at the House of Rags, I got to throw my plug in there. Use code DMS at checkout. And that is about it. Later, guys.